Hey, good afternoon, morning, whatever time it is that you're tuning in or looking at this video clip. Today is the 24th of January 2023, and we are going to look at understanding roles, responsibilities, and relationships in education and training. My name is Esther from Leicester, or you can call me Esther Nduta, Mrs. Hutchings, but I prefer to be called Esther. So, this is part of Unit 301 of City and Guilds Level 4 in Certificate of Education and Training. You're welcome. Now for the starter activity, if you're in the live session, this is what we are going to do. Please use your app, the app that I had recommended that you download on your phones, and tell us 2 or more fun activities that you have done in the past 2 weeks. That is since we last met on the 10th of January 2024. Today is the 24th of January 2024. These activities that you're writing here can be major, can be minor, but just let us have a go using the app as well as getting to know what you are up to in the last 2 weeks. Again, later on in your good time, you can be able to link this to Miro or Miro. And this Miro or Miro is another app also that is an online collaboration kind of a tool. And you can also join with Trello as well. And we will be able to just have an overview of what those are in our own independent time. If you have any questions, please do ask. Meanwhile, once you've written about the 2 fun activities that you did, please remember to share. Share those, and you can share via email or WhatsApp. And yes, we will see what we were up to. And you can also feedback to us if we don't get to check our emails and all that. Now, if you want other applications, for example, those for sticky notes, yes, Microsoft is free and you can find it in your system on your computers. For the other types of apps that you can use for sticky notes, have a look at this particular link that I've put there, right? And you can be able to access. For the Microsoft one, yes, if you go on your, we used to call it start menu, you can be able to search for sticky notes and it will appear like that, and you can download it if it's not already downloaded in your system. I find it handy because I put a sticky note on my desktop and I know the things that I need to do on that particular day. Now, a little recap before we move on to today's topic. Yeah, that's a recap for the induction and introduction that we completed 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was an information session about the course, and see the PowerPoint slide that is attached to it so that you can be able to understand the tasks that were set for you. Most of you have completed them and they look fantastic. I would say have a look at the slide itself. I had said slide number 26. The position may have changed, but have a look. It looks like these key points to take with you. And this was also followed up with an email on the 10th of January. That was the plan of action. So have a look. If you haven't completed those tasks, please, may I recommend that you do. And we will be filling those gaps as we go along. So don't worry if you don't manage to do them today. Thank you. Now, another reminder, I want us to keep on practicing digital skills because it's a requirement as a training need by your employer. And we did also say it's your own training needs because you are able to apply these digital skills in your own delivery. Nowadays, we know it's blended learning, online learning, and things are moving on digitally. So it's good to have ideas of how some of these things work. So I did say you can use my slide, the one for this particular unit, for example, to be able to format it in your own way, particularly changing the image. But the key points need to remain there because they will act as a guide. They will act as a guide to guide you on what is involved in this particular topic. So if you've never done this before, I know most of you could be familiar with it. Yeah, you go to the induction PowerPoint slide and then right click on the image, click choose image, insert image from your chosen source, and then online images. Yeah, choose image, change picture. Yeah, use the change picture and then insert the image, right? And that will be one of the digital skills that you have done practically, and it takes less than a minute to do that. It's good because when you go to the online pictures, it takes you to Creative Commons, and this avoids copyright infringes and all that. Another reminder of this, after you've changed the image, you can go to save as, to the file icon that is save as, and then choose the format as an image and click save. You are only saving this particular slide. Don't save everything as an image, only this particular slide, because I want this particular slide to go in unit 301 as a cover for that, or as a divider. Why? For two reasons. Because one, you're practicing your digital skills, and the other reason it's because it has an overview of what is covered in that particular unit. Thank you so much. Now, coming back to the session, today's session, the aim or the general objective for unit 301 is about understanding roles, responsibilities, and relationships in education and training. It has 3 outcomes. And by the way, this is a common unit for both level 3 and level 4. So for those who have obtained it, they are exempt, but I would advise you that you do it as a refresher, because you could use different examples from the ones that you've used before. Like I say, the general aim of this unit is to enable you to understand your responsibilities as a teacher and how you work with other professionals, and also to include responsibilities for you for maintaining a safe and supporting environment or learning environment for your learners and our learners. Good. So the 3 learning outcomes are here. Understand the teaching role and responsibility in education and training. Understand ways to maintain a safe and supportive environment, learning environment, and then to understand the relationship between teachers and other professionals in education and training. Don't worry about going too fast. I will share this PowerPoint with you so that you can have a look at a later stage. So there is indicative content delivery requirements and recommendations. So the unit highlights some of the legislations and regulatory requirements that must be met by organizations and individuals. The unit also gives learners the opportunity to explore the codes of practice and the roles and responsibilities of teachers, trainers, and instructors in promoting equality and valuing diversity when identifying and meeting students' needs. The unit also addresses a specific responsibility for the teacher in promoting a safe and supporting environment by addressing the needs of the learner and by addressing the responsibility for promoting appropriate behavior. The unit emphasizes the role of the teacher in practicing, or in placing their student at the center of learning. In health and social care, we call that, person-centered support. So in the same way, this emphasizes in placing the learner at the center of learning. The unit gives the learners the opportunity to recognize how teaching roles involve working with other professionals and the boundaries between the teacher's role and of those other professionals, and the need for possible referral to meet the needs of their students. Now, the assessment criteria, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Have I counted them correctly? Yes. So these assessment criteria are the same questions you will be answering in your assignment. So have an overview of these. And if you want to start drafting, you can use this particular slide to draft your answers. So it will be explain the teaching role and responsibility in education and training, summarize key aspects of legislation and regulatory requirements and the code of practice relating to your own roles and responsibility, explain ways to promote equality and to value diversity, explain why it is important to identify and meet individual learner needs, explain ways to maintain a safe and supportive environment, learning environment. I keep on missing the word learning environment. I must remember it's the learning environment. I am just skimming over these because this slide is there. It's available for you to have a read and be able to deeply look at each of the assessment criteria. In the assessment, they're not laid down like 1.1, 1.2 like that. They have been grouped together as per the theme of the question. So explain why it is important to promote appropriate behavior and respect for others. Explain how the teaching role involves working with other professionals. Explain the boundaries between the teaching role and other professionals, and describe points of referral to meet the individual needs. Please have a look at the criteria. This is one of the most important parts of this training. Now let me get to introducing the unit itself. one of the things I want you to think about is what is the difference between a role and a responsibility? And you need to explain this in terms of education. Also, have a look at the National Career Services. Yeah, that further education teacher. Have a look at what it takes and what they do, and also the other elements that surround that. It may give you an overview of what is the difference between a role and a responsibility. I'm not going to explain it here, but if you are in the live session, I would like you to be able to, yes, you to be able to give me some answers using the chat. But one thing I'm going to do is just click that link so that I can show you what I mean with this. So I would like you to scroll down. When you scroll down, have a look at what it takes. Yeah, the knowledge and all that. That would be part of being responsible, I believe. And in what you do as well. If you combine some ideas, you will be able to see what a teacher is and what they do, and then the points where they can be able to have responsibilities like completing admin, like taking registers and ordering resources, things like that. Don't go so much into the depth of this, but I just wanted to give you an idea. As a career, most of us are in further education, so I just wanted you to have an idea of that website as well as some of the explanations there. And then what is the difference between a legislation and a regulation, and explain with an example within education and training. Again, here you can follow that. It may give you the difference between an act, regulation, code of practice, and guidance. One of the things I heard one time, that in the UK, a regulation has not gone to the second house, the House of Lords. So it could be passed in Parliament, House of Commons, but not gone into the House of Lords. Have a look at that and just have a read to know the difference between legislations as well as regulations. And codes of practice will be mentioned there as well. So you're welcome to have a look at both. Good. Like I'm saying, I'm not going into the depth of this, but it's good just to introduce the topic so that you have an idea of a starting point. When you write your own assignments, I expect you to have an introduction, but the introduction you will have will be an overview of what it is that you're going to say. You will see an example that I have attached to an email for you to have a look at, an example of introducing your own essays or written work. Now, we are very important as teachers. And this particular video, I would like us to have a look. Don't worry about the age that is mentioned here. Don't worry about that one. Yeah, but I would like us to have a look at this one. And just give me a second because my sound is like hidden. So I need to change the settings here. This is part of the digital skills practice. So you go sound settings here, because it is playing up. The sound is not coming from the speaker. I want it to be able to come from the speaker so that it can be captured. Yeah. So speaker, let's see this time round. Okay. Sound settings. Where did it go? Go back there. And I want it to come through this speaker, not the Yeti. And let's see whether it's gonna play now this time round. Yes,
the origin of the word.
I can rewind this so that we get started, and I can magnify.
What should I be learning? What is education? The true tradition of the origin of the word education comes from Old Latin for ducare, which means to pull out, which is very different from to lecture, which is to pump in knowledge.
The quality of education can never exceed the quality of teaching. There are no schools better than the teachers, because great teachers make people learn better and become great learners.
The teacher has to be a person who inspires people to get motivated so that they can become problem solvers. And that changes the role of a teacher from being an authority figure to being a facilitator. And so I see the role of a teacher as an agent of change.
One of the most exciting things about being a teacher is when you're working with students and you're sharing your passion or your excitement about what we're learning about. And students are kind of sitting there and there's a lot of confusion, and then all of a sudden it all makes sense. And you can see it in their eyes. You can see the excitement of, I get it.
What What's more important?
Asking questions?
Or answering questions?
You spend almost your whole life in schools answering questions that other people have asked. Yet the hallmark of usually how people do well in life is not necessarily answering the questions other people ask of you. It's the questions you ask yourself of others and ask of the world. If you live in a culture of standardized testing, which tells you there's one answer, and it's at the back, and if you don't know it, guess, that's no way to encourage intellectual curiosity, and it's no way to encourage real creativity.
We do have a very high stakes atmosphere. We have benchmarks that every student needs to reach. If they do not reach those benchmarks, there's the potential for being retained or for failing the grade, which is a pretty strict punishment for a young student, or a strict consequence. And it's something that as a teacher I certainly wouldn't want to see happen to any of my kids. So you always have that in mind, that you're pushing these kids to succeed. And I think that how it meshes is I'm always pushing their academic skills. But one of the best ways to push their academic skills is to make sure they're interested and loving what they're doing.
There are certainly fundamentals that need to be learned, tools that need to be created for individuals to be effective in their lives. And those tend to be fairly rigorous, disciplined, quantitative, measurable. And I can see standards applying to those to make sure that everybody has the same foundation from which to work. But the flights of fancy that come off those foundations that we think about as creativity are not fueled by those sorts of metrics. They're fueled by engaging the heart.
This $69 muscle hack is taking over the market like
Let's skip
crazy.
the
Just use
advert.
it for
We
15
don't
minutes per
need
day
the
to burn fat
advert.
like a furnace and get ripped.
So we will cancel that, and we don't need that anymore. Sorry about the advert. So we go back to the slide. There we go. You are important as a teacher. By the way, I'm not going to edit this because I want to show you what happens with digital skills. You can be jumping here and jumping there and correcting this and correcting that. For you to be able to skip the adverts, I would have forwarded the video and then started from the beginning. It can escape the adverts, but no worries about the advert. What I would like to say, you and I are important as teachers, and we serve a role within the environment, the learning and education environment. But at the same time, we also build our own career. We also build our own profession. So it's important that we reflect as much as we do what we do. These are the second video. It's very funny in a way, and I would like you to have a look because it's part of education. So excuse me, because the alarm wants to tell me this is the time to do the next activity. I am caught up in all this behind the scenes. Anyway, I would like you to watch the role of a teacher. The role of a teacher, one of the roles is to entertain. Nowadays they say edutain or educate and entertain. I don't know about that, but there we go. Now let's go now to the nitty-gritty of the whole unit. 1.1 criteria, 1.1 assessment criteria. It says explain the teaching role and responsibility in education and training. By the way, the whole of this PowerPoint, don't ignore it. It's not for me just to talk and talk and talk. This PowerPoint contains a guide to your assignment. So if you can be able to take notes as we continue in the session, the better. If you can be able to follow the guidelines or the pointers where the answers are, it's important because it will be able to take you to where the answers are. So one of the things I would like us to do is to mind map on different teaching roles, responsibilities, and working relationships in education and training. And if you could use your digital skills, if you have Miro, and even if you don't, I will be able to put this on the chat and invite you to Miro, and you can be able to mind map with me. So I have started my own mind mapping here. Esther, okay, I am a CET facilitator. I don't know why I put the role there. Okay, it's a role, but I wanted to put my name there so that identifies mine. So I would expect you also, when you write yours there, you can also add your name so that we know the difference, who is who. Okay, it's easier if you hover around, you can add or minus. So if you're the next person going here, you can type something there, Alternatively, you can add another branch there. So you can choose any part of these and it will be able to have to help us to create a mind map. I believe any place here, if you add here, you can be able to add another branch and another branch. Yeah, so if you don't get your own branch around here, just click there and you can be able to add another branch, okay, or on this side. So when the plus sign comes up, you can be able to add branches like that. And this is a shared document. Please have a go and see how it is going to work for you. Now, the roles and responsibilities that are shared here are equally some of the key points that you could pick and write in your assignment. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll be closing some of these so that I don't have to go back to them later on. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. So that is a shared platform, a shared whiteboard for visual and collaboration. Like I said, you can say Miro. I don't know how to exactly pronounce it. I haven't checked. While I'm continuing on the same point, yes, I have given you a few examples here. The roles, yeah. I'm a teacher, or you're a teacher, a trainer, a coach, tutor, mentor, instructor, assessor, lecturer, and all that. Like these PowerPoints, they are a form of lecturing because I'm not interacting with you. So it's almost like a lecture here, right? And my PowerPoint keeps on forwarding. It's like it wants me to go faster than I'm going, but I will slow it down. Responsibilities include like enforcement of the organizational policies and procedures, preparation and management of the learning, assessment, record keeping, working with others, communicating effectively. And that communicating effectively can also be a role as a communicator. That's the example I used in giving you a brief example of how you could write your points. Yeah, maintaining safety and security and all that. For more points, I would like you to see the textbook, right? Certificate in Education, CET, pages 23 to 28, and it might give you an overview of some of the areas of either responsibilities or roles. Again, you can look at the cycle. You know, there is a teaching and learning cycle. Yeah, the different stages, you know, from the time you find about the learner's needs to the time you plan for education. Just the same way the units I gave you, to the time you assess them, to the time you evaluate. On all those stages, you can find different roles and responsibilities. Have a look at the cycle, either on the website link that I gave you last week. Okay, last time, not last week, 2 weeks ago. Alternatively, have a look in the textbook and you'll be able to see that learning cycle. And then I don't know why I'm feeling like we have jumped. Yeah, like I said, these questions, because the first assignment task A has picked points that relate to one another. So you could come from assessment criteria 1.1 and then move on to a different assessment criteria 3.1. So explain how the teaching role involves working with others. So you see, it's linking the roles and working with others. Yeah, I've heard people say, together everyone achieves more. That is teamwork, and you and I, we will be able to complete this qualification. Yeah, in as much as you do the writing, I read all the assignments. We are helping each other to be able to help CT skills. We achieve more with this, and we are able to help our wider circle of students. There we go. We are helping each other to achieve more. So on the extension of that, again, you can use your digital skills. You can draw or map out the teaching and learning assessment cycle, yeah, with the focus on the learner. You know, this is linked to 1.1, like I had said. Yeah, looking back into the assessment cycle, to learning and assessment cycle with the focus on the learner, and think how you can work with other professionals on these stages. Now, please share if you have a different type of a tool to create these cycles. You are welcome. But for me, like I had said, you can use a free mind map maker, online mind mapping tool on Canva. You can use another one on Creately. You can use PowerPoint. And this is an easy one, very easy. Just go to Insert Smart Art and then Cycle, and you can choose one of them. I did practice on this, and this is my example here. My example. So, and I said you can also look at pages 36 to 38 of the textbook. Look at identifying learner needs, the starting stage there. And that's what we were doing 2 weeks ago. I was trying to identify your learning needs. Yeah. Now, my role there or responsibility there is to be able to kind of look at the prospective learners and the IAG information advice and guidance team, work with them for data collection. So I have the learner as one of the people I work with, but not necessarily as a professional. So I'm centering, like I had said, I am focusing, or I've put the learner at the center of the starting process, but we are gathering the information and we are keeping a record of that. But I'm working with the team that is in information advice and guidance, the enrollment kind of team, and they're helping me with the data collection at the very beginning. Okay, and then planning learning. So again, the learners are at the center, and I am also working with other managers. Learning and training needs, e.g. digital skills. So the managers have asked, as you plan the sessions, please put digital skills in mind, because that's something we want to develop. When it comes to facilitating learning, and we have again the learners at the center, and I'm considering the learning needs and learning styles, and I'm working also as part of the team to check the effectiveness. Are we delivering the criteria as it is required? And are our students performing as they are required? And it's not just performance, are they being changed along the way? Because later on we'll be learning about learning theories, yes, and we'll be learning about maybe cognitive learning, cognitive skills, psychomotor skills, and then affective domains. Have they changed? Yeah, in the induction, I was talking about the behaviors, the skills, and also the knowledge. So have these things changed, and how is the quality team helping to find out that these things have changed? They observe you, but they also question the students sometimes. Okay, assessing learners, how to meet the assessment criteria and support needed. So we can also work with accrediting bodies or awarding bodies. Yeah, we can extend that and talk to them. Yeah, depending also on who is linking us for that. It's important that you just have an idea about that. Again, the center of it all is our learners. Evaluating learning, again, you can use the learners to give you feedback. You can use your peers to give you feedback. You can use management to give you feedback, and any other involved person like the employer, they can give you feedback. So you're able to work with other professionals. Now, if you look at slide number one, the chart number one, or the cycle number one, I used straight away the PowerPoint, and then I used the PowerPoint designer, and it brought me a different picture on the right, my right. It's the same points there, but just presented different ways. So what I'm trying to say here is choose your own format of doing this cycle. I think it's an important idea that when you start explaining this particular aspect of the roles and responsibilities, and also working with others, somewhere, please just use a chart to be able to make your leaflets look more colorful and more like a leaflet. Okay, inserting images and cycles and charts like that. Okay. Now we are moving on to the next point, that is 3.2. Explain the boundaries between the teaching role and other professionals. So there are things we do and things we do not do. Yeah. And again, if we are in the live session, what I would like us to do is to define and discuss professional boundaries within education and training with other professionals. And you can do this in pairs, or you can do this as individuals, or you can do this as a group activity. And this will meet criteria 3.2 and 3.3. So think of what you can do or you do not do, and why are those boundaries there. Please, again, I wouldn't be tempted to give you answers. I would like us to contribute ideas, and you can also be able to look at the book, pages 28 to 29 of the textbook, and have a look at what is written there for you to be able to have ideas. Okay. 3.3 is about describing points of referral to meet the individual learner's needs. Like you can see from the previous slide, we are able to cross over because of the boundaries. Yeah, sometimes you may come across a learner that has a need that you're not able to support them, so you can be able to refer that learner for support. Again, pages 35 to 38 of the textbook will give you a lot of pointers to that. Give examples. Yeah, in the book has given examples of potential learner needs, and then you identify possible points of referrals and describe how these points of referrals support teaching and learning. I don't want to be doing things for us. I want to facilitate. So I'm pointing you to where the answers are so that you can be able to bring them out. Yeah, if you're in the live session, we are able to discuss this. Okay, so we are moving on. The other point is 1.2, summarize the key aspects of legislations, regulatory requirements, and codes of practice relating to your own practice. Again, this is an activity that we are doing together, individually, paired, or a group activity. And I would like you to research the key aspects of legislations, regulations, and codes of practice relating to your own roles and responsibility. During the induction, I did talk about handbooks, and I said one of the handbooks you need to have a look at, it's the one that talks about the code of practice for your organization. Please have a look at that again. And then also use my textbook to look at some of the important legislations that are used within education and training. Please do that. And then I would like you also to look generally at the specific legislations with regards to your own teaching role within your specialist area. So if you're working in digital marketing, childcare, what are some of the specific rules or regulations there? Please have a look, and also the codes of practice. Research the code of practice on the government website, and it might give you just an overview. And then for your own practice, within the policies and procedures of the organization, have a look at those as well. I don't want a lot of them, so in the next slide I'm giving you a few tips on how to complete task A. Task A, I believe it's a leaflet, and you write this in a third person. Why? Because you are writing to that team of newcomers. You are the one telling them what happens here and what it is that all these tasks are involved in. So roles, responsibilities, and relationships. See Anne Gravel's book, pages 23 to 28. It will give you an idea, and I've said it could be a teacher, trainer, coach, tutor, mentor, instructor, assessor, lecturer, any, but you need to expand on those using PEEL, as you will see later. Okay, responsibilities could include enforcement of the organizational policies and procedures. Give examples of those. Preparation and management of learning. Give examples of how that is done. Also, how to keep records, how to work with others, how to communicate effectively, how to keep the environment safe and secure, and all that. Then when you think about relationship, talk about how you contribute to planning, or how other people, you contribute as part of a team in the planning, in the researching, in the sharing of assessment outcomes, in communicating students' needs, in negotiating support for students, in contributing to internal quality assurance, and also in liaising with referral agencies. Okay. Now, when you talk about boundaries, I say think of the limitations, what you can or cannot do. And we are looking at pages 28 to 29 of the textbook. Now, think of the personal boundaries about your own skills, about your own experience, time, resources, job description, and how to relate with learners and so on. Also, think about the professional boundaries, e.g., your job description, how far can you go? The team roles and responsibilities, how far can you go? Management structures, the lines of communication and policies and procedures as well. Have a look at that when you're talking about boundaries. And then the points of referral, see pages 35 to 38 of the CET book. And then you're thinking about the organization systems that are available and the procedures, e.g. administration, additional learning support, student services, websites, peer help, and all that. For the external agencies, the points of referral that you can refer your students. You're thinking of specialist support, government agencies, work-related employees or employers. You need to be able to be giving specific examples and explain how or why. Okay. Legislation and regulatory requirements. I normally have an issue with R and L. Regulatory requirements and the codes of practice relating to own role and responsibility. You're thinking about also looking at pages 38 to 41. It will give you some examples. Equality Act 2010, data protection, things like that. It will give you some ideas about that. Now we are moving on to the next task, which is task B. And task B will start with explain ways to promote equality and value diversity. So ways to promote equality and value diversity touches on the previous point that you have just finished, right? Because we could be mentioning Equality Act, and that's part of what is really reinforced by this point. Have a look at pages 41 to 43 of the textbook, and it is a good start. Now, in the session, we will work as groups or paired activity and discuss and present ways to promote equality and value diversity. If you want some points on the main textbook, it's on pages 41 to 43. My PowerPoint really wants to go running, but I'll have to keep it steady. And we move on to 1.4. It says explain why it is important to identify and meet individual learner needs. What key points of diversity do you see in this image, for example? This is the learning style, right? Maybe where somebody has come from, how it affects them and all that. Maybe it's to do with focusing on tasks. Maybe it's to focus with experiences. So there are so many things that you can be able to get out of this picture. We did learning styles ourselves. We did personality in our induction. So yeah, you need to be able to identify the diversity. And out of that diversity, you can now be able to identify the needs. All right, you can be able to identify the needs and the way to meet them. But why is it important for us to identify them? Why is it important for us to identify and to meet that? Yeah, at the end of the day, like we said, the learners are at the center of everything we do. So we need to be able to focus so that at the end of the day they have something. There's something that they're getting out of the learning that they're doing. Explain why, again, it goes on. So we need to discuss how individual learner needs and discuss how to identify the needs. We did some of the ways in our induction, so we started there, different ways of identifying learner needs. Like I said, I did use personality tests. I did ask for your initial assessments. I did ask that you do your learning styles and all that. You can ask questions, you can interview, however you do it. But one of the things I want you to do in the next point is to compare methods used to assess individual learning needs. So you could pick a couple of methods and you compare and contrast them. So you could be talking about advantages, disadvantages. You could be talking about how different they are, how the same they are. So differences or similarities. That is a criteria that needs to be met in that 1.4. And then you need also to analyze the factors that influence individual learning needs and preferences in learning style. And that's why this image here can be part of, I've gone a slide back, it can be part of, some of the points at analyzing the factors that can influence the individual learning needs and preferences and learning styles. Okay, we all come from different backgrounds and that can affect the way we learn. Okay. The other point is explain ways to maintain a safe and supportive learning environment. And again, this is a task that we are going to do together to be able to have a Q&A. What is safeguarding? About in education and training. What is your role in maintaining a safe and supportive environment? How do you work around safeguarding issues? Then I would like you to create a table to outline examples of ways to maintain a safe and supportive environment, and think of it in terms of physical, social, and learning environments. So some of the ways you can be able to maintain that. And then discuss how and why it is important to promote appropriate behavior and respect for others. Some people start from setting ground rules, but you also need to tell us why. Why do you do that and how does it help? You can look at the pages 29 to 32 of the textbook and it might be helping you to answer that particular question. Okay, so we are going on. Explain why it is important to promote appropriate behavior and respect. So some of the things you could be thinking of about the consequences, the negative and the positive consequences. Okay, I don't know whether positive ones are called consequences. When you think of consequences, it's the outcome of that behavior. Is it good or is it bad? Brilliant. Okay, outline the advantages of appropriate and inappropriate behaviors and explain how these help in teaching and learning. Again, I said pages 32 to 34 of the CET textbook will be able to help you. Now that is task B. Yeah, a summary, or rather the activities that we need to do to be able to find what it is that we are looking for. If I were to teach step by step, then we'll spend more time. But it's not about me, like in that video clip that says we draw out rather than just pump knowledge. Yeah, we draw out. So it's not for me just to give you information. No, we need the diversity, and that's why we brought these as activities. But this one you can write in a first person. It's a reflection of your own practice. And what are we doing here? You're giving 3 to 5 reasons why it is important to promote appropriate behavior and respect for others. And you're explaining using examples of appropriate and inappropriate behavior, including advantages and disadvantages of given behaviors, and describing describe how to respect others. I think there's a word missing there. So for example, use examples to link to teaching and learning. Yeah, how to promote respect for others. I think that's the word that is missing there. And then describe 3 to 5 ways to promote equality and diversity, and give examples using your own experiences in teaching and learning. And you can look at the textbook pages 41 to 44. Explain using examples why it is important to identify and meet the needs of the learners, and use examples to link to your teaching and learning again. And see induction PowerPoint, the given links, why it is important to identify, or why it is important to do initial assessment and all that. There was a point where I had given you a link to follow to be able to understand some of the reasons why we do training needs analysis and all that. Later on, we'll be coming back to link these to units 311, which is your own practice in identifying learners' needs. Unit 401, again, it's part of that, identifying and supporting learners. And also unit 402, which is about planning learning and also going on to delivering learning. And you can have some more ideas by looking at the index of your textbook, starting with an L, and learning theories as well, pages 90 to 93. It might give you some ideas there. Okay, index is at the very back at 223, page 223. Last but not least, give examples of ways to maintain a safe and supportive environment, and use your own experiences in teaching and learning. For guidance, have a look at pages 29 to 32 and 95 to 96. You can look at any other page as long as it gives you some ideas, and you can use your own textbook depending on the particular textbook you're using. Now for writing, this is academic writing. At level 4, you need to develop more academic writing, like or university almost. Yes, it's foundational degree level. So we need to start writing academically. And one of the ways that has been used even in school to write literature is to use PEEL. Okay. And also to use the third person, the first person, and all that. Okay. So what I've tried to guide you is task A must be written, or should be written, as a third person, because it's a neutral ground. You're telling others what is done or what is involved. But task B is about you reflecting on your own practice and how you have been able to promote a safe working environment or learning environment. Yes. So that's to do with the English and the approach, how you do that. The structure as well, I would like to see nice titles, bold, and just, looking good. And then have an introduction, have the main body, and then have a conclusion. Yeah, I missed here. The main body needs to be included in that PowerPoint there. I think I can be able to edit that while we are on the screen. Let's see if I can be able to do this here. And it is which slide here, so that to show you, sometimes these things can be corrected as we go along. And what slide am I at? I'm at this particular slide down here. I'm almost there. Yes, main body here, so that I don't forget about it. Main body. Yeah, conclusion and references. And while I'm at this one, there was another slide that needed an error correcting here. Was it on task B? Let's have a look. Yeah, was it task B using examples, advantages. Describe how to promote, I think it's the word promote, respect for others. And I will save it before I forget. Brilliant. Excellent. So let's go to the slideshow itself, and I'll start from the current slide, and I will move on to the next one because that's where I was at. So I said to structure it, have a good titles and subtitles, introduction, main body, and conclusion, and of course references. This is part of the core skills, or rather, yeah. And then have your names and dates on the headers and footers. I have already sent you a copy of that, yeah, with comments on this side. Please have a read. Yeah, have sent you a copy of that. Have a read and how it needs to look like. You can always copy this later into a template that is a leaflet or a booklet. But if you do this, you will save yourself a lot of proofreading and eye strain and everything else, because you can use Microsoft Word. And it doesn't matter, you can even use Microsoft Word. Just present it as it is. Put some images there, put some psycho drawings like I had said, and it will also still pass as a leaflet. I'm not so much concerned about the format more than I'm more concerned about the criteria being met and being met in the correct way. Then use Peel to structure your paragraph, and it's to do with how you say the point and how you give examples or evidence, how you explain it, and then how you link it to the learning cycle, teaching and learning cycle. Remember the very cycle we had discussed earlier, from the beginning of finding about the learner needs all the way to assessing and evaluating your program. Okay. Put the learner at the center. It's a person-centered support or a person-centered approach. So as you discuss these things, you need to be always remembering at the end of the day, it's about the learner. Always reference your work within the essay, and also at the end, provide a list of sources, at least 5. Yeah, at least 5. Because if you tell me you only read one textbook, this textbook I'm giving you, it shows me you didn't read wide to be able to find more information. Look for websites that are teacher related, government websites and all that. Please link to those because they are reliable. They are more reliable. Wikipedia, no. You can use Wikipedia, but go at the bottom and see where they got the information from and follow those links to be able to read yourself and find out what was the information about. Please proofread your work for spelling and grammar. You can use Microsoft tools to support you. The editor and read aloud, they do help a lot. Yes, I think, yeah, I can show you that at a later stage. And then also, where appropriate, apply maths, for example, in statistics, in history, and also in time management. Please include that somewhere so that we are covered for all the core requirements. Okay. And these are the ones I was saying, the core minimum. Yeah, I've just given an overview of some of the ones we have used. ICT digital skills. I have mentioned about Microsoft apps, tools, PowerPoint, changing images and all that. So many tools that we downloaded at the beginning of the session. Yeah, for example, Post-it notes and Miro. Then English, I've kind of given you the peel on how to write the essay and how to structure it. And then maths, you can use statistics. You can use that with inequality and diversity, and also time and management. Some of you have really used those very well. Now, before I finish, I want you to think about 3 skills that you have used today. 3 skills that you have used today. You can also think in terms of 3 skills you have learned, or 3 types of knowledge. Yes, or 3 types of the way your behavior or attitude has changed. Anything. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 2 questions you still have about the topic, that might have not been covered in the session. And then also, or even those that have been covered in the session, you can ask any question about the session. And then 1 opinion you have about the whole experience, whether resources, whether it's to do with Esther, whether it's to do with yourself, any opinion of the PowerPoint, anything. Yeah, I use PowerPoint because it's easier to record and to store, and like now I can be able to do well in advance before you go into the session. So forgive me for that, but we will try to diversify during the session. And then any other question that you have, please do ask. And then we need to review and reflect, or rather the other way around, reflect and then review. Think about what went well on your side. What has gone so well today, right? Compared to last time and today, what has gone so well? Have you managed to take notes? Have you managed to follow point by point? Have you managed to know what it is you're doing before you get started? And also what went well as per the way Esther delivered the whole program. You can think in those areas. These notes that you write here can be transferred into your evaluation, can be transferred into your reflection. So it's so good for you to, it's better for you just to take part in them because they will help. And then what could be better, or what could be done better? And then what will you do differently next time? Or what will you ask to be done differently next time? All in all, we are looking back at the objectives. Have we met them? Have we met them? So I've copied the main assessment criteria here to see whether we have covered them. I trust that I've covered each of the points, but you can always come back and ask any questions. So the purpose of the unit was to enable you to understand the role and responsibilities of a teacher in education and training, and relationships between different professionals in education and training. It also includes responsibility for maintaining a safe and supportive environment, and some of the legislations have been mentioned there as part of that. Now, assessment details. The deadline for this, by the time we come back in 2 weeks' time, please make sure you have completed task A and B. Check that you have names and dates and signatures. Why do we have these? Because when quality team is checking, in as much as it's on your portfolio in your space, it's always good also to include these just in case we download and they need to be extended somewhere else. They have those names, dates, and signatures. And even for me, when I'm marking, so that I don't confuse this work. So use headers and footers to write your names and to make sure the work is dated as well. And then proofread and make sure it is in the correct grammar. Again, you can use your Microsoft tools to help you with that. Read aloud helps me a lot. And then indicate references within and also at the end. Or you can decide to send me a draft by email so that I can have a look before you upload, so that we do it once and for all. Okay. Thank you so much. And for all the other references I've used this time round, here they are. Now, for the book reference, because we are using the book a lot, this reference here, I generated using this free citation generator. It's so easy for you to be able to come up with this instead of trying to remember how to come up with these. So use the citation generator. It will help. And for the rest of them, please open them and have a look. If they have not been used within the course, it's because I have used them somewhere else to be able to guide and support us. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully the lecture has not been long and in the live session, we are able to do these activities more interactively. Otherwise, thank you so much. And I'm going to call it a day for now. And I've been screen capturing these with vMix. And therefore, I will stop recording and I will say adios, amigos. See you soon. Bye-bye.